The reason I post those now is I went to my Facebook account and I have seen that in the past week or so, a whole heap of posts which I had posted were deleted again. So someone is fucking around with all my accounts continuously and permanently. And the only way you can do that is to get access to my phone. And the only way you can do that is to get access to my property when I have been, when I'm asleep and you're knocking me out or drugging me out somehow. Because I have codes, so I will be notified if someone is logging in illegally unless they've got some hack way of doing it. I want to make something really clear. When I got fucked around by that family, I got taken somewhere and became really sick by being there. I got a really bad infection. My mouth was swelling up. I got really sick. And then I got harassed by the cops incessantly. And that's when the lynch mob came to my place. And that lynch mob comprised of my family, because I could hear them yelling at me. I could hear the dumb cunt, I could hear their voices. I was like delirious at this point. I was so sick. So I was blacking out and I had the heater on and it was really hot outside. And I was in so much, I was septic apparently. So I ended up calling the ambulance, which is something I never do. And I got rushed to the Austin Hospital. And I have a lot to say about the Austin Hospital for a number of reasons. It is where Michele Pazzi ended up dying from a normal dialysis procedure, which he'd done several times a week for at least a decade or two. It is where apparently my dad was taken in May, and I have spoken to his cardiologist who told me that an appointment was cancelled with him in May, that he was told, he was given information that he was at the Austin, but then received no discharge papers. When I was at the Austin, I apparently was, as again to reiterate, was septic. They kept me in for about 2 weeks. I then got transferred to the Mercy. But the Austin told me all this stuff, right? And they put me through an MRI. They had fucked me up at the Austin. Big time. I was a fucking wreck. I was in so much pain. I had a nerve in my leg which wouldn't work and it was just killing me. And they were saying, you need 2 surgeries to do this, and I was like, what are you on? Like, you are the ones making me sick. Then eventually they transfer me to the Mercy, who says, no, it's okay. You know, you have this, but we don't need to operate. And they kept me in for a further day, and then I released myself. And they didn't want me to be released. And I insisted. I had just had enough. I wanted to go home. And the only way they allowed me to go home was by giving me over a month's worth of medication, and so much of it that the pharmacist said it took half a day to get it filled, because she actually, for the first time after working there for 10 years or however long, a long time, she said, she never had to ask for permission to release so many drugs for so long, and she had to obtain that permission first. And then they let me go home. But I was really very sick for the next 2 months. I knew I needed to be in hospital, but the hospitals were making me... There's something up with the Austin Hospital. That is very clear. And what I believe is that when I was charged with harassing my aunt by making a series of calls on one day and never before, never after, and in a short period of time, in 10 minutes, I believe that, and it had to do with the post made by the cunt rapist murderer Simon Pazzi, who put I can't even remember the term, crosshairs, and said, "You're next." And I freaked out. And I thought, I now am linking that in reference to my dad having been the one on the chopping board at the time, and that I would be next. But I had no idea that something was going on with him, that he was being so abused, that he was having stays at a hospital which was covering up the abuse. I didn't know also, I just want to make this really clear. When I was called by my mum on the 21st of September, she told me to go to the house because my dad was in hospital dying and he wasn't going to make it. I am then told that he died at St. Paul's Hostel. I would also like to make this clear. When I spoke to St. Paul's Hostel, I spoke to a woman who knew, apparently, Teresa Girardi. This is before I knew Teresa Girardi was dead. So it was around the 2nd of December. And I asked her about Teresa. And she says, yes, last year. All this stuff. And then I find out within the day or the day later that Teresa's dead. So I call back and I speak to the same woman. And I say to her, did you see her this year? And she is emphatic. She says, no, only last year sometimes, only last year. I never saw her this. She wasn't here, and she's a permanent worker there. She said, not this year, last year. And then I find out that my mother, the reason I ask that is I was told by someone else, an older woman, that she had stays at St. Paul's Hostel this year. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? None of this was ever going on with my parents when I was involved with them. This is all fucked up shit. And then I find out that Teresa Girardi apparently died in a hospital after having stayed at St. Paul's Hostel for a lengthy amount of time. I spoke with this woman less than 2 weeks after Teresa Girardi is said to have died. And she is swearing blue and black that she only saw Teresa last year at some points and made no reference to Angelo Girardi. Snap.